Okay. All righty. Okay, good morning, everyone who's out there. We're going to begin our services on page 6 with our Birchot HaShachar, with our morning blessings. We're doing this via Zoom today because on Thursdays, Ziegler Rabbinical students join us. They join us via Zoom. So that's why if the picture looks a little different, that's why. Or if it says Zoom on the corner, that's why it says Zoom on the corner. All righty, so we have some people gathering, so we're going to start praying. Start, as I said, page 6 with the Birchot HaShachar. Invite everyone who's out there to please rise. I'm just going to adjust the camera angle here. Okay, and away we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech v'ivin alevchim ben yom uben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani b'tzama'o. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kufufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka aretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasali kol tzarki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechim et tzedek aver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten le'ayev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir sheina v'hi ratzon mefnecha me'Eloheinu v'Eloheinu shetar leinu b'tzetecha v'Eloheinu b'tzetecha v'Eloheinu. Udneinu hayom v'chol yom lechem l'chesed harachamim be'inech b'nei ko'enu v'tiglenu chasadim tovim baruch atah Adonai gomel chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. Rolling right along, we continue on. Where are you? Page 14. There we go. How are we doing for numbers? Get there. Okay. Mizmor Shir Chanukah Tabayit LeDavid Aramim Chadnai Ki Delitz V'Smach. Leman Yizmecha Chavod V'Loidam Adonai Elohai Leolam Otecha. And we turn to, okay, we're good. We turn to page 15 for Kadisha Tom. Oops, hold on a second. I'm going to admit Yael into the room. Let's do this preview. All righty, Kadisha Tom, page 15. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah be'alma divrach kirutei ve'alich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam lo me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitmaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudasha brichu. Le'ela le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Aseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Okay, rolling right along, we rise, page 16. Good morning, Yael. Baruch Shemar v'haya olam Baruch Hu Baruch Oseh Bereshit Baruch Omer v'yaseh Baruch Ozer Mekayem Baruch Merachem al haaretz Baruch Merachem al briot Baruch Meshalem Sachatov li'reav Baruch Hay la'ad v'kaim l'netzach Baruch Bodeo Matzil Baruch Shemo Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'el ha'v'rachamanu. Yachid Chei Halani Melech Mishbakim for Adet Shmo Gadol Baruch Atah Adonai Melech Muhulal B'Tishbachot. Receded, page 21. Ashrei. Ashrei Yoshev Beitecha Od Yalu Chasel Ashrim Shekacha Lo Ashrim Shmei Lo Havtila Lo David Aramim Chakayim. Tilat Adonai Yadar Ber Pivi Barkavas Hashem Kachalelam Ve'ed V'nach Nerech Yamet Tabadalam. Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Halinafshi Et Adonai. Ashrei She'el Dakol. Adonai Shomeret Gerim Yatam V'Amanei Aded V'derech Hashim Yavei Tilochan Halelam Elohai Tzim L'Dovador. Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Ki Tov Zam Leinu Ki Na'im Navati La Bonei Yerushalayim. Mahagid Rav Yaakov Ukav Mishpatav L'Yisrael Lo Asachem Lo Chubim Mishpatim L'Yitu'um. Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Adonai Min Hashamayim Hallelujah B'Amramim. Vayaran Karen Lemo Tila L'Chol Chasidav Livnei Yisrael Am Krovo. Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Shemai Shir Chadash Tila Bechal Chasidim. לאסום אחיכם בזיקים ונכבדיכם וחבלי ברזל, לעשות במשפט כתוב, ודחו לכל חסידיו, הללויה, 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 וקודשו הללוהו, בקירזו הללוהו, ובתיו הללוהו. הללו, בצלצלי שמע הלו, בצלצלי תורה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה, ברוך ה' לעולם, אמן ואמן. Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael Osei Niflog Levado Baruch Shem Kavado Le'elav V'Melech Al Haaretz Amen ve'amen. All righty, my friends, continuing right along at the top of page 29, with your permission, we continue with Yishtabach. Yishtabach Shem Chal Yad Malkeinu Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol Gadosh V'Shmai V'Artich. Brachot v'odaot me'etzav yad olam baruch atah Adonai el melech hador b'tishbachot el odaot Adonai niflot habocheh b'shrei zimra melech yafei ha'olamim yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba yamad yibrach yutei v'melech b'chayechonu v'yamechonu v'chayecho beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kari v'yimru amen ye'esh shmei rabba mavarach le'olam l'me'el mayam yitbarach yishtabach v'yipar v'yitman v'yitnaseh v'yitadav v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'richu le'ela le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechmata damiran b'yama v'yimru amen. We rise page 30 as we face east for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or v'rechoshech osei shalom v'orei et hakol. You may be seated as I let my dog out of this room as we continue on page 30. Hameir la'aretz. Titbarak Sreinu Malkeinu Go Aleinu Bereket Hashem Shtak Shem Chala Malkeinu Yitzim Shatim Vashem Shatim. Kulam Ahovim, Kulam Marim, Kulam Giborim, V'Kulam Osim Be'ema U'Iratzon Kanam, V'Kulam Potim Et Yam Teshav Torah B'Shira U'V'Zimra, V'Barchim Shabchim Farim Martzim Maktishim U'Mamlichim, Et Shem Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol HaGibor V'Amra Kadoshu. וכולם מקבלים עליך ממלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונוניק זה לזה, להקדיש עצמם בנחת רוח, בשפה ורבתמה קדושה, כולם כאחד עניים ואומרים ירא, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות מלך כל הארץ כבודו. באופנים וחיות הקודש, בראש גדול מנסים לצפים אותם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני, מין כמו לאל ברוך כמו תיתנו למלך החי וקיים זמירות ים. אור חדש ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהרה לירוא ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות אהבה רבה אהבתנו. והביאנו לשלום בכנפות הארץ ותוליכנו כמית לארצנו כי אל פועל ישועות אתה ובאנו בחרת מקלה ולשון וקרבת לשמך גדול צל באמת לגדול יחייך את חביבה ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בימו ישראל באהבה שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, הקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך להיים. שמות השמות. Adonai Lechem Emet, v'yetzi b'nachon. L'dor v'ador hukam v'shmo kayam v'chison nachon v'malchuto v'emunot kayamet v'rav chaim v'kayim yeminim nechmadin la'alamei olamim al v'teinu v'leinu al b'neinu v'al dorotenu v'al kol dorot. Zeh Yisrael. Emet shetahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu Malkeinu Melech Avotenu Golenu Goel Avotenu Yotzreinu Tzur Shvotenu Podenu Matzilenu Me'olam Shemecha Ein Elohim Zulatecha Ezrat Avotenu Atahu Me'olam Magen Umoshia Libnechem Rachechem V'chol Dor V'Ador B'rim Olam Mashiach Asher Ish Nishma. Tilot leil elyon baruch u'mvorach Moshe b'nei Yisrael lecha ani yishra b'simcha rabba v'yamru kulam mi chamocha ba'alim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tilot osei fele shira chadash asher b'chu geulim l'shemcha al sfatayam yachad kulam hodu v'imlichu ve'ameru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Tzur Yisrael Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael Uvdech numecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch at Adonai Gal Yisrael. Amidah begins on the page, top of page 36b. We join together through the Kedusha, through the through page, I think it's like 37. When I think about it, I don't think I've ever announced that page. Oh yeah, through page 37. And just want to note people, since we are in that Aser Kimei Tshuva, those 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we have a few additions. Just pay attention, follow the guidelines. They tell you exactly when to say, what to say. So hopefully it'll all work out. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaNorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot U'Mevi Goel Livnei B'nehem L'man Shmo B'Yahava Zochreinu L'Chaim Melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chodvenu b'sefer ha'chaim, lemancha Elohim ha'im. Melech Hozer Faked Moshiach Magen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Faked Sarah Ata Gibor Le'Olam Adonai Mechayim Metim Ata Rav L'Hoshia Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayim Metim B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Rofeh Kolim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar Michamocha Bal Givorot U'Midom Elach Melech Meimit Mechayim Matzmiach Yeshua Michmocha Michamocha Av HaRachamim Zocher Yitzurav L'chaim B'Rachamim V'ne'eman Atah L'chayot Metim Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayei HaMetim. Nekadesh et Shemcha v'Olam Kashem Shemakdishim Oto B'Shnei Maron Kakatzu V'Yad V'Yecha V'Karazel Zev Yamar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvot, Melech Haaretz Kevodo, V'Tam Baruch Yameru. Baruch Kavod Adonai Min Kamov, Divrei Kodshecha Katuv Lemor. Yimloch Adonai Le'olam Elayach Zion L'dor V'dor. Hallelujah. L'dor V'dor Nagigo Lecha Netzach Netzakim Kedushatcha Nakish. V'shivchacha Elokim Rikin Le'yamush Le'olam Va'ed Ki Melech Kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai HaMelech HaKadosh. righty, peeps. We continue with Tachman, page 62. Vayomer David el Gad Tzar li ma'od. Yevoshu v'kolavaya, Yevoshu raga, Shomer Shomer Yisrael, Shemo Sherit Yisrael, Shomer Shomer Yisrael, Shemo Sherit Yisrael, Ve'al Yovad Yisrael, Ve'al Yovad Yisrael Ha'omrim, Ha'omrim Shema Yisrael, Shomer Shomer Goy Echad, Shemo Shirit Am Echad, Shomer Shomer Goy Echad, Shemo Shirit Am Echad, Ve'al Yovad Goy Echad, Ve'al Yovad Goy Echad Am Yachadim, Shimcha Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, Shomer Shomer Goy Kadosh, Shmor Shirit Am Kadosh, Shomer Shomer Goy Kadosh, Shmor Shirit Am Kadosh, Ve'al Yovad Goy Kadosh, Ve'al Yovad Goy Kadosh Am Shalshim, V'shalosh Kiddushat Lekadosh, Mitvritze V'rachmim Hitritze V'hit. Ozreinu Eloheinu al Devar Kavod Shemecha, Vatzilenu V'chapetenu L'man Shemecha, Yitgadal V'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, V'yamad Yivrach Yutevim L'chmalchutei, B'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayechol Beit Yisrael, B'agalav Izman Kariv Yimru, Amen, Yehi Shemei Rabbah Mevarach, Le'olam Lo Me'al Maya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpar V'yidamah V'yinaseh, V'yitadar V'talei V'talal Shmei Kudusha B'richu, Le'ila Min Kol B'chata V'shirata, Tush B'chata V'nefamata, Tamiran B'yamah V'yimru, Amen. Okie dokie, my friends. It is time for a little bit of Torah learning in lieu of Torah reading. Let's just see, where's my verse for today? Where's my verse? Oh, there it is. Okay. You know, it's kind of funny because I'm on a delay because we're zooming from Facebook. So, or zooming here to Facebook. So there's this wee delay. So it's kind of funny because I finish here on this screen, but on this screen, I'm doing Facebook. So now I know what my back looks like. Yeah, I got to work on that. I maybe got to do something there because my back just doesn't. It doesn't look. I don't look good. You know, I'm definitely feeling very sensitive to that right now. But anyway, oh, the joys of technology and Zoom. Anyway, all seriousness. So a little bit of Torah learning. This week's Torah portion, Ha'azinu. This week between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so we got a little bit of material to work off of. We'll say our blessing for Torah study. I invite people. If you have someone to whom you wish to dedicate a little bit of Torah love to, please feel free to share their name in the comments section, and we'll go from there. As I think I did last week, or yes, on Monday, I'm kind of forgetting. I'm sending out my Torah love today is going out in the memory of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We join together in the blessing for Torah study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. You are God, the source of all life, and we're grateful for the flow of life that brings us to moments like this where we can learn and grow and hopefully human better. Amen. Okay, so Speaking of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, there was a quote of hers that I guess it was mentioned in an article that was talking about her that said something like, a piece of advice she learned from her mother, which is, it's useful in marriage to be a little bit deaf. And she repeated that, and she says, it's not only useful in marriage to be a little bit deaf, but it's also useful with some of my colleagues on the Supreme Court. And what I thought was so very telling and interesting about that is, even in an intimate relationship with someone like we love, like our spouse, they'll say or do things, and it's good just not to hear them all the time, right? Because people aren't perfect. People say silly things. People say small-minded things. People say irritable things. People are just people. And sometimes it just helps when we're trying to live with people if we just kind of have a certain level of deafness to certain things, a certain ability to just kind of like forget. And that deafness and that forgetting is a very good quality, right? Can you imagine if we could remember everything we said and everything we did and everything that was said and done to us? Can you imagine what it would be like to have that in your memory all the time, never forgetting it? Dreadful. It is really, really helpful to sometimes be forgetful, right? It's really useful. And I think about the idea of forgetting in this week's Torah portion. It says the following in chapter 32, verse 18. This is Ha'azinu. This is the song that Moses sings to the Israelites as a way of sharing with them what their history has been and what their history will be going forward. And in verse 18, it says, Sur Yiladcha, Teshti, V'tishkach el mecholecha, which translates as, you neglected the rock that begot you, forgot the God who brought you forth. Right? So here again, we have the issue of forgetting, but here forgetting is the negative. Whereas when Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was talking about it, there's a positive to forgetting. There's a positive to not hearing. There's a positive to not always being engaged with the other and having a little distance, right? Here, the forgetfulness is a negative, right? The Israelites have forgotten God. They've forgotten the one who begot you, as the Torah says, and forgot the one who brought you forth out of the land of Egypt. And here we see forgetting as a negative. So which is it? Is forgetting a positive thing, or is forgetting a negative thing? Forgetting is negative in the case where we forget our obligations and what people have done for us. But sometimes it's a positive when we consider some of the things that people have done to us, because forgetting allows us to move on. So which is it? Is forgetting a good quality or bad quality? And the answer is, of course, in classic Jewish fashion, both. Forgetting is both good and bad. And in fact, that is the way it is with most every single midah, with most every single quality. Every quality has the good side, if you will, right? But also what is sometimes referred to as its shadow, right? So for example, is it good to be humble? Answer, of course, is yes. We talk about humility as being a vital trait to develop. It's one of the most foundational traits within Jewish tradition in terms of understanding what it takes to grow and flourish. But can you take humility too far? The answer, of course, is yes. Humility has its shadow. And it has a shadow when we take it too far and we are not willing to stand up for ourselves, when we pull ourselves back too far and don't take proper care of ourselves. So there we see that humility is a good quality that has a negative side to it. How about patience, savlanut, right? Patience is an incredibly important midah, an incredibly important quality to develop. Patience, savlanut, allows us to bear the suffering of the other within our own hearts and not be reactive to it, but help them carry their burden with them, right? Patience is a wonderful quality that enables us to endure difficult times, understanding that they will pass. However, does patience have a shadow? The answer is, of course it does, right? Because sometimes we're patient almost to the point of inaction, almost to the point of a seeming indifference to the things that are going around us. So we can bear too much and not act when we should act. Every quality that we look to, that we want to develop in order to make ourselves better people, that's a good thing. However, we also have to remember that all these qualities have negative sides to them, have shadows to them. And as we go forward into this time of Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, as we consider the kinds of qualities that we want to develop, that we want to work on, that we want to take with us into the year to come, let's think carefully about those qualities. Let's think carefully about specific ways we can bring those qualities into our lives. But let us also pay attention to the shadow, to the negative side of that quality, so that whatever it is that we commit ourselves to, whatever it is that we seek to develop for ourselves, we do not take it too far, that we're sensitive to how being forgetful can sometimes be good, but can also be bad. Being humble is a wonderful quality, but too much humility and we're not taking care of ourselves. Being patient is amazing. It allows us to be present with people. But if we're just present with people and never actually act, but are just patient with them, we miss opportunities to do the things that we should do. So being aware of the qualities that we want to work up, as well as their negative, is an essential part of this period of time so that we can go forward into the year as strongly as possible, as healthy as possible, and in a way that enables us to grow as much as possible. And that, my friends, is our Torah for today. Okay, so we're going to conclude with Kaddish D'Rabbanan on page 13. I invite anyone who wishes to join in the Kaddish to do so. It's upon hearing Torah study, anyone is invited to and can recite the Kaddish. Also a good opportunity for people who are reciting the mourner's Kaddish if you want to get an additional Kaddish in as well. So page 13, if you're saying the Kaddish, it's customary to rise. If you're not saying the Kaddish and it's not your custom to rise, you don't have to. But since I'm saying it, I'm going to rise. Page 13. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kari v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach le'olam l'amei omayam. Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitpa'ar, Yitramam, Yitmaseh, Yitadar, Yitale, Yitalal, Shmei, Kudisha, Brichu, Le'ela, Le'ela, Mikol, Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechmata, Da'amiran, Bi'alma, V'imru, Amen. Al Yisrael, Val Rabbanan, Val Talmidechon, Val Kol Tamidechon, Val Kol Man Daskin Baraita, Diva Trahadar Haden, Vidiba Kol Ataviatar, Yehel Honachon, Shlama Rabba, Pina Bechisa Barachamim, Vechayin Arichin, Mizana Revicha, or for Kanam and Kadam Abahon, Bishmaya, Vimru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Tovim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru, Amen. Osei Shalom Ben Ramav, Hu Barachamav Yasei Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru, Amen. Okay, my friends, we now jump forward to page 78. Ashrei Shebetecha Od Yalucha Sela Ashrem Shekacha Lo Ashrem Shnei Lo Habtila Le David Aramim Chalil Kavarchashim Chalil Lamved. What was that? Tilat Adonai Yadaria Pivi Varkava Sashim Kachalelam Ve'ed Venachnu Rech Yam Yatavidalam Hallelujah Alam Natzech Mizmor LeDavid. Hey Makaru V'Nafalu V'Nachnu Kamnu B'Nita Dad Adonai Hashem Elchineinu V'Yam Koreinu Uval Etzion Goel Ul Shafei Feshakavnu Umadonai V'Anizu K'Tiyatam. V'yata Kadosh Yoshev Tilo Yisrael V'Karazeh El Zeh V'Yamar Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzvot Melech Ol Haaretz Kevodo. V'tisaeni rachvesh macharai kol rash gadol Baruch Kavod Adonai Mim Kamon. Adonai Yimloch Leolam Va'ed. Vayivtechu v'chayadei shemecha ki lo zator doshecha Adonai Adonai chafetz mansi kol yagdil Torah v'yadir yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabba yamad yivrach yutev v'lechmach utev v'chayachon v'yanechon v'chayachol beit Yisrael b'agalav izman kari v'yimru Amen Yehi shmei rabba mavarach le'olam lo me'el maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitmam v'yanaseh v'yitadai v'talei v'talal shmei kudusha Brichu le'elam le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran v'yamav Amen. Titkabel Satan v'Ton l'chol Yisrael kadam v'hondishmaya v'yimru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim elena kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav v'yasei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Rise, page 83 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol latet gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu ki goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim v'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Notei Shamayim B'Yosed Haaretz, U'moshav Yikaro B'Shamayim Ima'al, U'shkinatu zo, B'Gavhei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu, Eino, Emet Malkeinu, Efetz Ulato, Kakahatu B'Torato, Yadata Hayom V'Hashevota, Elevavecha, ki Adonai elim b'shamayim ima'al, yal haaretz mitachat, einod al keinu kaved l'chaim Eloheinu, lirot meherat. Kakatu b'Torah techa. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nemar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Today we observe the yard sites of Rhoda Andrews, Rivka Edelman, Thelma Gale, Rabbi Sam Lavenger, Judith Rosner, Arlen Schwartz, and Ethel Tassoff. If there's any name I've neglected to mention, I do apologize. I invite you to share their name in the comments. We turn now to page 84 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kari v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'varach le'olam lo me'almaya. Yitbarach, yishtabach, yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitmaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalei, v'yitalal, shmei d'kudesha, b'richu. Le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. Say shalom b'mromav, huya say shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. So we have a couple of Psalms to conclude our services, and then once more with the Mourner's Kaddish. First, we turn to page 89 for the Psalm for today. Hayom Yom Chamishi b'Shabbat Shabo Hayu Halavim Omrim B'Beit Hamikdash L'Mnatzeach Al Hagidit La'asav Harinu. There we go. I can say again. V'sanei Adonai yechashulo v'yitzam le'olam v'yachlechu mechelech chita mitzur davash aspieka. We now turn to page 92 for Psalm 27. Enjoy these days of reciting Psalm 27, people. Psalm 27's days are numbered. Just saying. LeDavid Adonai Ori v'ishi mimi ira Adonai me'oz chaya mimi efchad v'karov alai mereim le'echol et basari. L'hulei amanti lo b'tuv Adonai be'eretz chaim, kavei el Adonai, chazak v'yamitz libecha v'kavei el Adonai. Once more, we turn back to page 84 for Kaddish Tom for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kari v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam lo me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitmaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. Say shalom b'mromav, huya say shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. My friends, thank you so much for joining us this morning, for joining us with our davening. I want to thank our friends from Ziegler. I want to thank our friends, all of our friends who are out there. Really appreciate it. Glad to be able to share a little bit of morning prayers, a little bit morning Torah with all y'all. As we continue through this week and prepare for Yom Kippur, I hope everyone is able to take this time to be able to find ways to reflect, find time to consider, and figure out ways that you want to grow and go forward into the year to come. Take care, everybody. Boker Tov. Live, love, learn. Be well.